and continuing our interviews of the best artists on the island and in the islands. I'm joined today by Darleen Nixon. Hi.
Hello.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nixon Art Glass is the business. And so let's get started with the people who haven't met you, who don't know you. Tell us about yourself.
Well, let's see. I've lived on San Juan Island 25 years, and I've been doing glass almost 25 years.
Really?
So, yeah.
What did you do before that?
Before that, I was in marketing, predominantly in healthcare marketing, yeah. So there's about 50 galleries throughout the U.S. that carry my work, and I was asking some of the owners if they could give me some feedback that I could use to quote them. Mm-hmm. And I was looking for feedback on my art, and they said, "You're such a good business person." And I'm like, yeah, that kind of wasn't what I wanted to hear. But I think it did help that I had a background in marketing before I started my art, yeah.
And so 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when you got into art glass, had you been interested in that for a long time?
No, actually. I had visited Port Townsend, which I love, and there was a woman in her gallery that was melting glass. And I was just fascinated. And I had tried weaving, which was fun, but it took me forever. And I tried watercolor for a couple of years. I took watercolor classes till the instructor was brave enough to tell me, "Darleen, I don't think this is your medium." So the person I met in Port Townsend said, "Well, I teach classes." Mm-hmm. So my very first class was impactful. You have to overcome fear because you're working with a hot oxygen propane torch. Yeah. And you're melting hot molten glass. It was at a community center, so it was a wooden table we were on. Probably they don't do that anymore because I got so fascinated with what the lady was doing next to me with her hot molten glass that I wasn't paying attention to mine. Uh-oh. Melted down, I started the table on fire. Yeah. I saw that instructor a few years ago. She still remembers me.
Do anything for attention.
Yeah, right. Isn't that the truth? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's how I got started.
So, was it scary? I mean, aside from that scary story, was the idea of the heat, and is it kind of dangerous?
Oh yeah, I've got examples of dangerous all the time. I've got aloe vera right next to me. So yeah, I'm dealing with a flame, oxygen propane flame torch, but we've come to know each other, and I probably enjoy it most because my hands and that flame and that glass are working together, and I can see what I'm creating right before my eyes. And I start with a solid, it becomes this liquid glass, and then the finished product, which I put into a kiln to anneal. So yeah, I love it.
Do you think of it as products, or do you think of it as art or artistic? Where is it? Because the business part of you is still there, right?
Yeah, the business part is still there. I'm very proud of what I do. So each design is my creation. I had a tour once through my studio, and people were asking, are you ever unhappy with some of the pieces that you make? And I said, sure I am. And they said, well, what do you do with pieces that you're not happy with? And I said, well, if I'm not happy with them, I don't want my name associated with them. So I just pitch them out in the backyard. I kept doing the demonstration, but I heard no voices. There was an archaeological dig going on in my backyard. So I think of it first as art, but then I have to have a sense of what the galleries and the buyers are looking for. So you have to think about it as a product too.
Now, your products are in galleries all over the country.
Yeah.
How many states is this?
There's over 50 galleries, so from Hawaii to Florida, from Maine to Wisconsin, all over, yeah.
How did you do that? Well, you're a marketer.
I'm a marketer. I started off initially, many years ago, calling on these galleries myself with my product and talking to the owners. That's painful. Yeah. Because you're taking your child in and saying, do you think my child is cute? And some of them didn't think they were so cute. Oh. So that started, and then what would evolve from that is a gallery owner would be in another gallery and say, can you give me information on how to contact this artist? So it just kind of evolved, thankfully. So yeah.
Well, you obviously have a great reputation. You don't get a list like this with anything but a terrific reputation.
Well, thank you. I want to make sure I'm very sensitive to the galleries. And in talking to them and why some of them have continued to buy from me for 20 years, part of what they've said is, when I call an artist and say, I've sold all your work, I need some more, I want some more right now. And I get that. And they said some of their frustration is that they don't get that kind of response all the time, that kind of sensitivity to their needs. So I try to be very accommodating to whatever they might need, yeah.
Do you create all of this art, or do you have some help?
I have some friends that help me. Part of what I realized early on is when you're over a torch and making this glass one by one, there's only so much time in the day, so this is all you're going to make. And I was trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to expand my business? So I make all the original art, and then I have folks that work for me, and I have a couple of salespeople that keep the galleries happy, and so
Nice.
yeah.
That's cool. And all of this is produced here on San Juan Island?
It's all on San Juan Island. I have two studios. One is my studio where my torch is in, that I do the jewelry work, and then the other studio is where I have 4 large, very large kilns that I do my fused glass work, which is plates and night lights and dishes and things. And it's about 4 miles out of town. So I have 3 acres, so I have beautiful wooded
Nice.
acreage that they're
Nice.
on, yeah.
So do you like make the prototype? Do you design it, then you make the first one, and are you like the chef who makes the
chef? That's
the
a good
perfect
analogy.
the
That's a good
perfect dish,
analogy,
and then you say,
yeah.
okay, everybody,
Yeah.
this is what we're going to make.
Similar. So nobody wants to be near the torch and the flame. I get that. So I do all the torch work. Nobody's too excited about having to cut glass because it's a little dangerous, so I do all that. So yeah, I do the initial design. So for instance, in the jewelry studio, when my folks come in to help me, we always have the original design that I made of the jewelry in a file, in a folder, in a drawer. And they come in and they'll see all the beads that I've made, and they'll pick that up, and I'll have a note on there, that's the San Juan whatever necklace. They'll go pull the necklace and then they recreate it. But I'm about the only one that does the glass because nobody else wants to get in front of a torch.
I think I read that you use American-made glass as much as you can.
Yes, so the glass in my fusing studio is from a manufacturer in Portland, Oregon. I love their glass because they do a great job of constantly quality control, which is important. The glass that I use in my jewelry studio is long stalks, like pencil width stalks that all come from Murano, Italy. And I've tried, on the jewelry side, I've tried Chinese glass, Czech glass, German glass. The Italians have been making glass a long time. And I've been ordering glass from Murano for 20-some years. That glass comes in the same color, the same consistency every time. They're just really good at it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So here in Washington, it looks like you're in 5 studios, 1 Bainbridge, 2 in Bellingham, Everett, and Linden.
Yes, and we just added 2 in, yeah, you said Bellingham, so there's 2 in Fairhaven, Bellingham. It's hard to keep track.
Yeah, well, those are great cities, a lot of art clientele there. How would one buy your work here?
So there's 3 ways. One is you can always go online and to nixonartglass.com. Here on the island, every Thursday and Friday, my studio is open to the public from 11 to 4 every
And where's
Thursday
that?
and Friday. It's 4 miles out of town on Elena Road, right by Into the Woods B&B. So
Okay.
just straight out Roche Harbor.
Before Duck Soup?
Before Duck Soup, yeah.
Okay.
Great restaurant, though.
Yeah.
Then in the summer, I have a booth, an artisan booth out at Roche Harbor in July and August.
Oh, okay.
And that's very busy. So yeah, we keep that up. But
you-
we're still contacting stores in town and on Orcas about carrying my work, so we may be able to announce that soon, hopefully. Yeah.
Do you ever work the booth in Roche Harbor in the summer?
I do. So I work the booth in Roche Harbor. I'll work the last week in June myself, and then I work on Sundays and Mondays out there, which is fun.
Isn't that a great vibe?
It's a great vibe.
It's summer in Roche Harbor.
I love it. It's entertaining, to say the least. And what's rewarding for me is, I don't know if they know that I'm the artist that made this or not, but I'm standing there watching how they perceive my work,
Mm-hmm.
hearing what they're saying, because otherwise it's just me in my studio with my work. So I
Right.
really like to see what other
It's
people
your market
see.
research.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
absolutely is.
So are you in one of those little hut buildings?
I'm in one of those little huts,
Okay.
kind of right across, unfortunately, from where they sell the ice cream.
I was going to ask if
Yeah,
you're tempted
so
by the ice cream.
I try not to look that way.
And it's a little Starbucks too, I think.
There's a
isn't
great
it?
Starbucks now. I may need those to keep going, but
People don't know that there's a Starbucks on this island.
I know it's a well-kept secret.
Yeah, it's probably taboo.
Yeah,
It's there. I was there last summer and I saw the cup and I, where did that come from?
Yeah.
And I put two and two together. That's
Yeah.
a nice booth though, of the food booth and the ice cream and
they get a lot of traffic through there in
Oh.
the summer. A lot of traffic.
some very well-heeled customers, I'm sure.
Pretty interesting to see the boats that come through.
Oh boy,
I shouldn't call them boats, should I? Yachts.
ships, whatever.
Ships,
yeah.
large ships, right.
Yeah, and do you ever sneak down and get a bowl of clam chowder at Lime Kiln Cafe?
Usually it's so crowded in the
Well,
summer.
yeah, that's true.
Now, so I'll go in the winter when, yeah, you can get in, but yeah, it's really crowded.
I
in the
really
summer.
can't make it more than about 4 weeks without.
Oh, is that right?
It's the best clam chowder ever.
You're addicted.
Yeah, Ivar's is good, but no.
Oh,
This
good
is
to know.
like 3 times better than Ivar's.
Good to know.
Yeah. So, studio tour. Mm-hmm. You're loving that?
I'm loving it. It's interesting. I do demonstrations for the Rhodes Scholar groups that come through.
Oh.
I do 16 this year, starting in April, going through October. So one of the things they usually ask me is, are there a lot of artists on this island? I usually think there are because they're all my friends,
Yeah.
but I thought I need to quantitatively, factually be able to respond.
Mm-hmm.
So I found out that there's a national index called the Creative Vitality Index that
Really?
measures the number of artisan occupations to population size and comes up with an index.
Creativity.
Creative Vitality Index is what it's called.
Vitality Index.
Right. So I looked up the San Juan Islands and was probably not surprised to find that we have over twice the national average
Oh, yeah.
of artist occupations per population. When you think about it, if an artist can take their work anywhere, why not live in the beautiful San Juan Islands and do your work here, right?
Right.
So that's what I share with the folks that come to visit on the studio tour as well as for the Rhodes Scholar groups is, yeah, we have a lot of very talented artists on the island.
So, did you know? Well, you've been here a while now. You said 25 years.
25 years.
Has that changed over the years? Was it always? Was 25 years ago? Was the artist per capita, was it that high, or has that evolved over the last 25 years?
I think it's evolved. I didn't measure it when I first got here, but I am familiar with some of the first studio tours. And early on, there were only about 9 studios to tour. And I think this year we've got 23. And it's fascinating. I took off one year just to do the tour myself. And I find it fascinating to go into an artist's workspace and see how they've set it up for their art. It's just, each one is totally different.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fascinating.
What are the hours for your weekly? You said Friday, Saturday?
Thursday and Friday,
Thursday,
every
Friday.
Thursday and Friday. My studio is open to the public from 11 to 4.
Okay.
I kind of asked around to other artists what they found as far as traffic, and they said Thursdays and Fridays were their busiest days to have their studio open because on the weekends people are out on whale watching boats or boating themselves. So yeah, we have pretty good traffic come through on Thursdays and Fridays
just
from 11
walk
to
in?
4. They just there's signs so they can see my signs, and they drive up right to the studio and come on in. Yeah.
Cool.
And I give them a tour, kind of show them how everything works.
And then go to duck soup, maybe?
Oh God, yeah, for delicious dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is a pleasure to meet you, Darleen.
Well, thank you.
And Jeremy, have we put those photos up yet? No. Okay, so why don't we take a look at some of your work? You sent us 3 samples here. You can see right over there in that monitor.
Oh yeah. So those are fused glass. So that's done in my bigger studio, and they actually have a kind of a cup, a hollowed out part in the middle where you can put water and
Right,
put
I see
live flowers in them. And then the colors are created with glass powder, which I usually have a mask on because you don't want to swallow the powder. The interesting thing about the one on the right, which is roses, that's a pink powder. Glass, some of the glass, I'll show you the pink one. Some of the glass doesn't get to its true color till it's heated.
Okay.
So that pink glass that you saw is actually this powder, which looks like flour, right?
Right.
When it gets heated, it's going to be this color.
Yeah, like ceramic glazes.
Yes,
you never
exactly.
ever know what.
Exactly. So I can't go to my jars of glass, powdered glass, to design. What I do is I've made little samples. So I'll start with that when I'm designing, and then I'll go get the powder that I know when I heat it is going to turn out this color.
Beautiful.
Because if I thought that was the color, I would be wrong.
Beautiful.
So that was what was unique about the roses one on the far right is the powder when it went down is really more of a flower color, but once it came out of the kiln, it's that bright pink.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that one's fun.
That's a great moment when you take it out of the kiln.
Isn't it? Sometimes it's a great
surprise.
moment. Sometimes it's like, oh, that didn't turn out like I thought it was going to.
At least it's a surprise.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
You have any other goodies
Let's
in the
see.
bag?
So this is, we're getting ready for spring despite the snow, right?
Right.
So these are my mushrooms.
Neat.
I promise you no deer will eat this mushroom. So what I've done is it's got a copper stem, so you can just stick it in a pot or in the ground.
Yeah.
And then this one has some texture to it. So I started off with the orange glass that I fused and then slumped to its mushroom shape, and then put some teal and then some clear on because I wanted texture
That's
on
fun.
that one. So I've got lots of different mushrooms, and they decorate my garden because I'm not a very good gardener. Let's see what else we've got in here. Oh, this is fun. So this, a lot of stores carry this. This is a cheese plate with,
beautiful.
so
Beautiful.
the feathers on there are actually black powder glass. And I had a learning experience with that. Initially, I put the feathers down, and it was all the pieces, and I put it in my kiln at probably about close to 1,500 degrees. Well, the feathers came out little black blobs. I just burned them right out.
Yeah.
So what I've learned is I have to do this glass fusing first at my regular temperature, about 1,500, and then I've got to do a second fusing in the kiln, really low temperature for a short period of time with my feathers on there so that they'll stay and I don't burn them out. So that one's very popular. Isn't that fun?
How does that work?
And it's fully fused in. You can feel it soft across there.
But I mean, is that painted in or
It's like a glass powdered stencil.
stencil?
And so it goes down, lays on there, and then what I do is at a low temp for a short period of time, then fuse it into the base glass.
It's a very fine.
It is.
Fine lines.
That's that glass powder that just
Beautiful.
gives you lots of design
That's
capabilities.
gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That one's
Who wouldn't
popular.
want this? Where's my camera? Yeah, look at that. Do you keep things in stock like this?
I have to, because the last thing a gallery owner wants to hear from you is, I'm sorry, that'll be 6 months, and they're like,
Right.
dial tone, I'm not calling you again. Something that's really popular that I have to make a lot of on San Juan Island, yes, is our whale nightlight. This little guy.
Now, does this sell well all through Washington?
Yes, it
Yeah,
does.
I would think so.
It does.
That's
So I start with a base of glass, sheet of glass, and then the whale, the orca, is made out of black powder, white powder, and then dichroic is the ocean down there. You can see the sparkle in the ocean from his foams coming up as he jumps.
beautiful. I bet you sell a lot of these.
A lot of those. So
Yeah.
I'm busy making orcas, yeah, for sure.
Beautiful.
So that's just some
Beautiful
of what
work.
keeps me out of trouble most of the time.
I think we have a couple more pictures to look at.
Oh,
too.
okay.
Oh, there we go. That's a different.
Yeah, so speaking of an
Nightlight.
ocean theme, that one is called Sea Life. And again, I start with a base glass. That one's a beautiful transparent turquoise. And then where you see the coral and the fish and the seaweed coming up, that's all out of that glass powder again. And the red powder is particularly one that looks like the pink one, a lot
does.
like flour when you put it down.
Yeah.
So it doesn't pop to red till it comes out of the kiln.
Beautiful.
That's
I'm
fun.
sure that makes a beautiful light.
Yeah,
Right?
it's one of the
That bluish glass.
behind the orca, it's one of the best sellers for sure.
And one more?
And that one, so that's an
Wow.
example of my jewelry.
Wow.
That one has several things that are happening in it. One is I made twisted cane. I took several of those stalks of the Murano glass, heated them, and then twisted them till I got a twisted cane, wrapped it around, and then I wanted a little bit more movement, so you can kind of see the dots where you've got twirls going on. So what I've done is taken a clear glass rod, heated the base glass, shoved the clear glass rod in, and then twisted while that base glass is still hot to kind of get a little movement in that. That one was fun. Yeah.
Well, you're an inspiration.
I'm having fun. That's what
Yeah,
counts.
and it's great to see somebody who is artistic and creative and also knows how to sell, how to
Oh,
get
aren't you
this out
kind.
in the world, because it's beautiful work. But, you know, a lot of people are just so good at art and not good at the business part of this that you kind of know that their work is not ever going to reach the audience
Yeah.
that it could, and
Yeah.
you don't have that problem.
Well, I'm lucky that way.
Well, I don't know luck, but you're very, very good at this. So it's beautiful work, and everybody local should go visit your studio on a Thursday or a Friday.
I'd love it. 11
That
to
would
4.
be great.
You
And
bet.
we've talked about the food options. There are many.
Yes, absolutely.
That part of the island. So, Darleen Nixon, very nice to meet
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks
Great
for
to
coming
be here.
in.
I appreciate it
Yeah,
very much.
And we'll see you on the studio tour coming up this
Absolutely.
summer.
You bet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.